So the case study that I did was the right choice, and it was about an assignment that all students were given to volunteer 10 hours of community service to a nonprofit agency of their choice and write a 3-page paper. One of the students was found to be plagiarizing. This particular student had a parent who was in chemotherapy twice per week, that she was driving 2 hours away twice a week to go to chemotherapy with her mom. And the instructor was aware of this and agreed to accommodate the student. So the student did their 10 hours of community service, but they plagiarized most of their paper. And the instructor confronted them, gave them a score of 0, and the student was able to pass the class and graduate that semester. So the questions that I asked were, did the professor behave ethically, and did this make the professor a stronger, more ethical leader? And I think that the most important things that stood out to me were that the professor asked who will benefit from following the policy. So the policy said, if this happens, then it's dismissal and probation and all these consequences. But the professor said, well, if I follow that policy, who's benefiting from that? Does the school benefit? Does the student benefit? And so from there, the instructor took in these other life circumstances that were going on, that the student's graduating, the student was under all this pressure, the student had an ill parent, and they took all these things into consideration and then made their decision based on all these factors, not just one part of the incident. And so in my leadership framework, I liked it because I noted in the Chang video, How to Make Hard Choices, where the use of normative power is not by reasons given to us, but by reasons we created. So the instructor was able to paint a whole picture and not just that's what the policy says. They were able to recall their relationship with the student, and they were able to recall that they had written a letter of recommendation because the student had previously demonstrated, trust and competency and good character. And they knew that the student would not have done this if they had not been under all these pressures. And I think the importance of us looking at, people and as whole people and what they're going through is important. So at the end of it, I think the professor was a bold and ethical leader. They created their own reasons. They found an alternative consequence. It was more appropriate than just kicking the student out. And so they were able to see the big picture and not cause any more harm. And I think that it's important to know that the behavior wasn't overlooked. The consequence was only reduced to a level that made the lesson valuable enough to be learned from and not cause more harm.